thank you for coming to Poe's Potables at 11:30 on a Thursday night here. This is great. So this is the panel with Tim Uren.
Hi.
Jerry Belich.
Hi.
Melissa Kaercher.
Hi.
Don Krosnowski. Moderating this thing.
There's lipstick on my glass.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Is it yours?
No.
Oh, all right.
I take another one. Oh, I have one.
So you guys, last year we did Cocktails with Cthulhu, which was about H.P. Lovecraft and alcohol, and there was like nothing to say because he didn't drink at all. This year, though,
Controversy.
with Edgar Allan Poe, there's a lot to say about alcohol. It's all very sad, too. This is really sad stuff, guys. So anyway,
Well, I don't think we have opium, so...
we will try. I'm going to be addressing that. Thank you very much. All right. We heard from one who knew him well, which should be stated in all mention of his lamentable irregularities, that with a single glass of wine, his whole nature was reversed. The demon became uppermost. And though none of the usual signs of intoxication were visible, his will was palpably insane. Possessing his reasoning faculties in excited activity at such times, and seeking his acquaintances with his wonted look and memory, he easily seemed personating only another phase of his natural character.
I'm sorry, we're talking about Tim Uren.
And was accused, accordingly, of insulting arrogance and bad-heartedness.
Oh, that's Jerry then. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Sorry.
That's from an obituary written by Mr. Willis and published a few days after Poe's death.
That's an obituary?
That is an obituary about Poe, and that's a little bit representative of the kind of attitude people took toward him, which I'm going to talk about right now, guys. So let's talk about Poe and alcohol. So Edgar Allan Poe, 1809 to 1849. He was only 40 years old when he died. So a lot of biographies and reminiscences of Poe were written years or decades after the fact by people of varying reliability. So, and a lot of them, and a lot of them were like his bitter enemies. So a lot of the stuff I'm going to be saying is going to have the word probably all over it, because very few people can agree on just about anything. That being said, what I'm about to talk about represents the best scholarship that I could find on all of this.
He was probably from Krypton.
Yes. There's a lot of bullshit that people believe about Poe, so we're going to try to clear some of that up. So speaking to the opium thing, he mentioned opium periodically in the stories, but he did not have a drug habit. He may once have taken laudanum as part of a suicide attempt, although even that is kind of disputed. But a lot of biographers have mistakenly claimed that he had a habit, and people seem to be prepared to believe that about him.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a drug habit if you try to kill yourself with the drug.
That's right. That's like that's a goal, man. Yeah. And similarly, you may have heard that he used absinthe. He was an absinthe drinker. This is also horseshit.
Is that a technical term?
Yes. Oh, thank you.
Love drink horse shit.
Don't kill your
This is a complete fabrication with no supporting evidence, and you should not believe it. This is just another version of the Philistine attitude that an imaginative writer has to get his inspiration from some sort of mood-altering chemical, right? This is similar, and I'm going to go off on a little thing here. When somebody tried to tell me, and Tim was there, that H.P. Lovecraft was a member of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn.
What? Wait, whoa.
There's so much wrong with that claim.
The Golden Dawn?
The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn.
Is that what you said?
Yes. Golden Dawn.
I think we...
It's like your fan club.
Not you, Dong.
No, Dong. With a G.
Not Dong. If I said Dong, I blame the Guinness I had.
That'd be
Dog?
a very different
Dawn.
Lovecraft.
Dawn?
The Golden Dawn.
Oh, it's Dawn.
You know, Yeats was in it.
We didn't get into that part of last
McGregor
week.
Mathers or whatever. Yes.
So you
Okay,
just came
the
from
Golden
SmackDown.
Dong. Yes. So the Golden Dawn. So this is just the kind of thing where, like, it's nonsense romantic pedigree stuff. People want to associate Lovecraft with occultism or Poe with absinthe or drugs.
Well,
it's not
and
true.
Also, anybody that's had absinthe, I'm sorry, it's not really that effective.
No. There's a whole bunch of nonsense
Yeah,
about
it's
absinthe,
all,
too.
even that whole absinthe myth is basically bullshit. So even if he was using absinthe, you don't use absinthe, you drink it, and it tastes horrible, and that's the end of the story.
Yeah,
Right, and
drinking the right
19th
absinthe.
century absinthe was something like 150 proof, too. I mean, Van Gogh didn't go insane from drinking
No.
absinthe. He went insane because he was mentally ill. So, having said all that, Poe did have a drinking problem, and a big one. He probably didn't write his stories under the influence because they're too well constructed for that, but he had a real dependence, which seemed to follow the pattern of he would have months or years of sobriety, and then he would go on binges for long periods.
He'd sneak in cider too every once in a while to try and stay on the wagon. On the wagon or off the wagon?
On the wagon.
On the wagon.
So
Yeah.
the real unfortunate kind of thing, he seemed to have a real craving for alcohol, but a low tolerance for it. So he'd get drunk after just a few drinks. And it's also been claimed that he might have had hypoglycemia, and so strong reactions to the sugars in some of these drinks, which would have aggravated this. Exactly, yeah.
Whiskey sours.
Shut up! Cosmos!
So briefly about his history, he seemed to have begun drinking in 1826 at the University of Virginia, but his professors remember him as a sober and serious student. The Army found him also the same way when he left in 1829. A letter of recommendation read, "His habits are good and entirely free from drinking." There are unreliable accounts of his drinking in West Point from 1830 into 1831 and Baltimore in 1832. But by the time he was living in Richmond in 1835, he definitely had a problem. He was fired, rehired, and fired again from an editorship because of his drinking and his failed attempt to quit. There's a quotation here from Poe. "For a brief period while I resided in Richmond and edited the Southern Literary Messenger, I certainly did give way at long intervals to the temptation held out on all sides by the spirit of Southern conviviality."
Drinking.
Yeah. Southern conviviality.
Just to be clear.
1839 in New York City, there's an anecdote of him being found collapsed in a gutter and needing to be helped home. And, drink? No, I could, actually. We don't have anything yet, but soon. From 1842 to 1847, his wife Virginia grew seriously ill with tuberculosis and eventually died, and it was during his period. She was his cousin.
Yeah.
I don't think she was 13 at the time.
Jerry Lee Lewis.
She was very young. Well, yeah, she got tuberculosis, she died. He drank a lot during this period because it was awful. And then there's a famous event that happened in the Boston Lyceum in 1845. He pissed off the Boston literati by reading an already written poem instead of a poem that he had written for the occasion, as he had agreed to do. So this precipitated a bunch of letters to the editor back and forth, the upshot of which is the story became that he was drunk during the event. So this kind of poisoned his reputation, even though it probably wasn't true. In 1848, his fiancée, Sarah Whitman, broke up with him after his promise not to drink failed. And in 1849, Poe reported a 10-day interval of hallucinations, which he had never before experienced. This was almost certainly delirium tremens caused by alcohol withdrawal. The following month, he joined the Richmond Sons of Temperance, and a month and a half after that, he was dead.
Bam.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story is if we quit alcohol, we can still have alcoholic effects.
Is that the moral?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, if you're an alcoholic and you quit
Well,
drinking cold
that's-
turkey,
yeah.
you're letting yourself in for some serious trouble.
Proof I'm not an alcoholic.
All right. So that's what I have for now. So we're going to take a little break, something lighter. Dawn, I think you're on deck.
Yeah, I am. Okay, so I thought it would be fun to do a Mad Lib of the Raven. So I need an adjective.
I feel like we need a drink for this.
Oh yeah. Is this time for a drink?
It's after the Mad Libs, but we could we can have the drinks now.
Kill
Yeah,
us.
this is gonna take a while.
We should start with a
So,
drink.
What are we starting with?
Well, we are going to have Madeira and Amontillado sherry. I think we all know the Amontillado reference.
This is the Amontillado.
Yeah, the Madeira is referenced in a few different stories, but I most recently saw it in when I reread the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket.
Do you want to explain to the audience what a Madeira is?
Madeira
It's awful.
is this the
This is the Amontillado, I think.
Is it the Amontillado?
This is the sherry, right?
yes,
yeah.
this is the Amontillado.
The Madeira might be more to your taste, but go ahead, Melissa.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna go at the same time.
Madeira is a fortified Portuguese wine made in the Madeira Islands. It originates in the 15th century. And it was fortified to prevent the spoilage at sea.
Thank you, dear.
And it was often shipped over to the colonies in the Americas.
Thank you.
And that's where the industry kind of really boomed. Back in Europe, it was seen as kind of a cheap wine. But once it was actually put on a boat and shipped across the ocean, the nature of the drink changed because of the sloshing around in the casks and the heat on the boat. So by the time it got to America, people really loved it. So the Europeans went, hey, what's with that? So they started shipping the Madeira over to the Americas and then back to England to drink the better stuff.
I didn't know any of
But then it was shit again.
Really
because it was shaken
interesting.
too much.
It was colder.
What's going on?
Amazing.
So
Don, you wanna do our
any
Mad?
correlation to Poe? Like, was this like a favorite drink?
Madeira was mentioned in several of his stories. I recently saw it in the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket. It was often seen on sailing vessels, and that's where the setting is for that story. So it's thematic with that one.
And we'll talk about what Poe actually drank in a little bit. Too.
We can confirm from that, though, that he knew the drink existed
Yes,
by writing about it.
Yeah.
he probably drank it.
He was aware of it.
And I bet he also knew what an adjective was. Can I get an adjective?
Slimy.
Slimy.
Magical.
Slimy. And I need a past tense verb.
Nobody knows what that is.
Rewound.
Wait, what was it? What was
Drink.
Okay, let's go drink.
Drink.
Nothing personal, Pat.
Yeah.
How about another adjective?
Furry.
Weird. Another noun. I need another past tense verb.
It's laid.
Wow.
I'm sorry, what? It's laid. Fucked. Fucked.
Is that like saying that into a microphone? Now just a plain old verb.
Rewind.
I'm gonna go with jump.
I'm trying to get Pat's word.
Never gonna happen, Daniel.
Okay, so I need a verb that rhymes with jump.
Thump.
Did someone say thump?
No, he said
Thump. Okay, let's go with thump.
Or hump.
And I need another verb that rhymes with pump. Hump. Hump.
Plump. Plump.
Thank you, thank
Plump.
you. Now I need a
Dump.
noun.
Bananas.
Banana. That's a plural now. Okay.
Jeez.
Banana. And I need to write that one in
B.
there. And how about a number?
3.
3. Let's hope I did this right.
Yeah.
Once upon a midnight slimy, while I drank weak and furry, over a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I fucked, nearly jumping, suddenly there came a pumping, as of someone gently humping, humping at my chamber door.
Clunk,
"'Tis
clunk.
a banana," I muttered, pumping at my chamber door. Only this, and 3 more. Thank you.
Well, that was pretty.
That was
Wait, wasn't that impressive?
it's
That was very-
amazing prosody
Totally
there.
Anybody can be
Now we
Poe
all
and you
take
just
out our
delete
DSs
some of his words.
then. So is this the point where we get our Animal Crossing stuff done?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
No,
great.
I'm good.
Poe totally do that. Okay.
Do we
This isn't on my
pass
outline.
yet?
Yeah, I think so.
Street pass? Okay, good.
All right, so next up, Melissa's going to sing a little song
I know.
about
Wait, what?
Arthur Pym and Life of Pi,
Oh,
I
that's
think.
right. That's right. That's right. I was going to.
Do you need backup vocals since we've done so much singing together lately?
Do you want to borrow my new lyrics? Just some banana pumping at my chamber door.
What was this about singing, or am I just talking about Life of
It's
Pi?
a metaphor.
It's a.
You
it's
have a
metaphor.
little song to sing to the audience.
I
You know,
see.
you-
Okay,
a little
okay,
bit
okay.
of performance.
So I was going to talk a bit about movies based on Poe, and there are a bazillion of them. But the most recent film I ran across, aside from watching that terrible John Cusack movie that came out last
Okay,
year,
we're getting a fist fight over this.
Yeah, I like that movie. Did you like that movie? I like that.
It starts
See, I-
slow, but it's not bad.
I
It's not bad.
can't decide if it should have been more serious or more ludicrous, but it was right in the middle, and I didn't like where it was. I think it should have been like starring Nicolas Cage and gone straight into Bees Land with,
Who on this panel actually saw the movie? I have not seen it. You guys saw it? Pat, did you see it?
No, I haven't seen it.
Thanks for looking.
It's on Netflix.
I know, you
But
saw
anyway,
it.
I'm digressing. The more interesting...
Yes, back to the point.
Yes. The more interesting film I saw more recently that has links to Poe was Life of Pi. Who has seen Life of Pi?
I did.
Wee. So Life of Pi, has really doesn't have anything directly to do with Poe, except I was rereading the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket, and I went, hey, because first of all, you've got this film about a guy stuck in a boat, shipwrecked with the tiger on this little raft.
And the volleyball.
And
Hey, Tim.
and in the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket, you have a guy kind of stuck in a wrecked ship, and at one point he's stuck in a box with a dog named Tiger that he's afraid is going to eat
Wait,
him.
what was the tiger's name? It was...
The tiger's name. Now the tiger's name.
Tony.
Oh, it was a great name, a full name.
It was called Richard Parker.
Richard Parker, that's it.
And you know what?
I love that.
And you know what? There is a Richard Parker in the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Right.
There is a conspiracy. Maybe it's part of that Golden Dawn thing you're talking about.
Okay. And so
It's all connected.
It's all...
and there's one more big thing, but it would be a really huge spoiler for Life of Pi. Does anybody care if I spoil a bit of Life of Pi? Like the very
haven't read it
linchpin,
by
very
now.
end. Okay.
Bananas float.
No. Okay. Anybody who doesn't want to hear, close their ears. Close your ears. Okay, so the linchpin of the movie is that the entire plot of the film is made up.
Whoa.
And what actually happened was cannibalism on the ship. There wasn't actually a tiger. The tiger was a metaphor for somebody else on the boat.
I disagree.
And in the... Well, it's said outright in the movie.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. That last line, that is not him saying that. It's him, like, giving them what they want.
But anyway, so we've got... But still, that's another panel.
Are you still spoiling?
That whole thing... But anyway, the Richard Parker in the book, in the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket, that's such a long name, gets eaten alive. So that's where it comes in. So I think...
That is really impressive,
Yeah.
except for your wrongness about the end.
So Jan Martel was familiar then with Arthur Pym then?
I could only surmise.
All right.
That is bizarre, though, having Richard Parker in there.
Yeah.
I didn't
More
know- I
than
didn't
a
know that.
coincidence.
Yeah, that
Was
is
he at this
bizarre.
point Yellow Jacket or Giant Man?
I think it was Goliath.
Ah,
So, maybe I don't know if you already have this at a certain point, but
I've got a whole outline,
Okay. Well-
Jerry, that I'm going to follow.
Well, I'm just asking, are we going to talk about, like, around specifically his death?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, don't worry.
Everybody calm down.
I'm not.
I will say that Poe's time in Baltimore was my favorite season of The Wire.
Season 6? Yeah.
Good stuff.
Just The Wire.
Really? There's 5.
There's an audience here. Move on.
Sorry, oh, sorry.
I have absolutely no pleasure in the stimulants in which I sometimes so madly indulge. It has not been in the pursuit of pleasure that I have periled life and reputation and reason. It has been a desperate attempt to escape from torturing memories, from a sense of insupportable loneliness and a dread of some impending doom. It's a letter from Poe to his fiancée, Sarah Whitman, in 1848. So, the question, what did he drink? He certainly drank ale, hard cider, and wine, often champagne, presumably when he could afford it. He drank port and coffee laced with rum. He refers to drinking whiskey, but at the time the word whiskey is could generically refer to any kind of alcohol, so it might have been Irish whiskey or it might have been a really shitty American whiskey that was being made at the time.
Canadian!
Yeah, or it might have been something else entirely, and you don't know. So there's an 1842 letter to his New York publishers apologizing for his drunken behavior on a visit to them. Poe blames it on a friend, insisting that Poe drink too many mint juleps. So The sugar in the mint juleps may have exacerbated his alcoholic reaction as much as the whiskey did, assuming he was hypoglycemic, which is speculation. So there are many more references to alcohol in the works of Poe than there are in Lovecraft, for example. There's lots of incidental references just to people drinking wine, etc. There's a number of drink-fueled conversations. It often results in characters' incoherence and delirium. There isn't a lot of fun drinking in Poe. But there's a few exceptions I found. There's an 1832 satire called Bon Bon. And so in which the French philosopher Pierre Bonbon shares bottles of wine with the devil while they have a philosophical discussion. Eventually, Bonbon can't speak without hiccuping. And there's a strange satirical 1844 story called The Angel of the Odd, in which the narrator meets a strange creature who is made out of kegs and wine bottles. Poe sometimes uses the word drunk as a metaphor for passionate or ecstatic feelings, as in an 1831 poem, "But she is gone above with young hope at her side, and I am drunk with love of the dead who is my bride." But usually, alcohol represents some type of disaster. Melissa's already touched on Arthur Pym a little bit, but Arthur Pym gets drunk in the very first pages of the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym, and his drunk friend Augustus almost gets them both drowned. In 1843, in the story The Black Cat, the narrator is a violent alcoholic, and that's what causes all the trouble in the story. Cask of Amontillado in 1846, we all probably know the story. Fortunato. Yeah, no, it does not. Yeah, Fortunato and Montresor are both wine connoisseurs, and Montresor uses that to lure Fortunato to his death, which may be a metaphor for something, right?
Poontang?
Yeah, poontang. Lots of poontang in Poe, but that's a different panel that I wasn't going to do.
Sorry.
So the king and his court in the story Hop Frog of 1849 torment their court jester with alcohol. Quote, "He knew that Hop Frog was not fond of wine, for it excited the poor cripple almost to madness, and madness is no comfortable feeling." And some biographers detect an autobiographical element to this. Poe might be incorporating his own resentment at friends who insisted on giving him alcohol even though he had an acknowledged problem with it. And now, strangely, he also believed that a certain type of beer helped his ailing wife Virginia during her sickness. There's an 1842 letter from Poe, and I apologize in advance for the name of the beer here.
Can I say it? Jew's beer.
Yes.
Sorry.
"My dear little wife grew much better from the very first day after taking the Jew's beer. It seemed to have the most instantaneous and miraculous effect. She had been dreadfully weakened, as you know, by continual night perspirations, but the very night on which she first took the beer, she missed her usual one and had them no more until an accident occurred by which we got out of beer and could not replenish our stock for 3 days. In this interval, the perspirations returned, and her cough, which had almost ceased, came back. Upon procuring the beer again, however, she grew better at once and became in a short time quite strong and well." And we'll be talking about the recipe in just a few minutes about the beer. Don't go there.
How
Yes.
do you accidentally run out of beer?
Well, it's a preparation, which Jerry's going to talk about. It's not actually not that easy to make. So anyway, it's not all doom and gloom in Poe related to alcohol. I want to end this part of the discussion on this kind of cool high note of this poem. A little bit of doggerel that he wrote at some point. "Filled with mingled cream and amber, I will drain that glass again. Such hilarious visions clamber through the chamber of my brain. Quaintest thoughts, queerest fancies, come to life and fade away. What care I how time advances? I am drinking ale today."
Amen.
I like that.
I think that's like everybody gets a drink after that.
Right?
That's
That'd be
right.
awesome.
Oh.
Tim, I think you have something you
hey.
wanted to share with
I'm not going to talk about the recipe.
No, well, you want to talk about it now, then Tim will
I'll
do his
wait.
thing?
No, sure.
You want to do your little song about the Jew's beer?
I have a song.
Recipe?
All right.
Everybody
Do
has a
you
song.
remember
Yeah,
the
we all
recipe?
have a
I got the recipe here.
I'll
I had
reference
no
it.
idea.
So I don't know if anybody here does has ever done any kind of home brewing, whether it's wine or cider or beer or anything. Jew's beer is actually a fairly simple recipe. It's got kind of the basics. It's water. It's got wheat bran, so that's gonna supply some flavor and some depth to it. You've got honey, so there's your sugar, and you've got brewer's yeast, so that's going to eat the sugar and make alcohol. Well, the special ingredient here, what makes this a little more interesting, is the pine tar. So, I don't know if you know much about pine tar. It's used for all sorts of things, like ships on the hulls, sealing stuff. It's got turpentine in it.
That's one of the first major industries of of America.
Pine tar is kind of a big deal in American history.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not it's okay to imbibe pine tar it's questionable in a way. And I did find like certain old manuals of elixirs that showed like watering down pine tar and adding sugar, stuff like that, to make a liquid that probably by their assumption is consumable.
We did debate about that.
I did quite a bit of research actually, because I was planning on making this Jews beer so that we could consume it, but there was a point where I didn't quite feel comfortable feeding everybody pine tar without more time to experiment and make sure that it didn't kill animals first. So. And the other thing about it, so the thing that the pine tar did, why it was useful in its application was, when brewed with it, because it's a thick, sticky substance, not all the pine tar would be a part of that final beverage. And what it would do is irritate your lungs a little bit, which would cause you to have a productive cough. So if you're sick, it would help you to kind of get a good cough going, kind of like when you do like a vaporize or other stuff with a lot of humidity or something to like get your system working out the whatever junk you've got in there. So from the research I did, that's basically what I found, is that the pine tar was to get you coughing and dealing with whatever sickness you had. That's what I know.
Thank you, Jerry.
I'm so happy we're not drinking that.
I know, right?
Yeah, we went with mint juleps instead.
Yeah. Speaking of which, since this is going to be a drinking game, I think we best serve the mint juleps now, so we're not drinking the
quite
Amontillado
dry.
and the sherry for this thing.
I
So Tim,
finished
maybe you
mine.
can.
Yeah, we're done.
Tim, you want to explain the rules while
Many of
Carrie is
our-
serving them?
How did I get
It's
more?
mint juleps is our second drink
Fellow
guide.
panelists worked very hard and did a lot of research. I did not.
Thank you.
Like me. High five.
So I
want more?
instead bring to you a Poe-themed drinking game you can take with you and share out in the rest of the world. This drinking game, thank you, is called I Nevermore. The way you play this game, that we the panelists will play this game, is each of us in turn will say something that we will never do again because we have buried something in the floor, walled it up, bricked it up in the basement, metaphorically, of course. And so
Either or.
once whoever says this thing and everyone in the room, if it is in fact something they have done and will never do again, you drink. If it is something you have never done, don't drink. If it is something that you have done, or not, but fully intend to do again, 3 drinks.
Oh, ouch.
Oh, yeah, that's the pared down. I reined it in.
I'm getting confused.
3 big drinks. No dainty
Tim will just tell you how
Three
much to
different
drink.
states.
Okay.
You've either never done it, or you've done it and will not do it again.
Okay.
Or you've
just a simple
or you
trinary
will
system.
do it in
So
the
if
you plan to do it in the
never done
future.
it, don't
Okay.
drink. You're fine.
Okay, so
You've done it,
never
but you
is a
won't do it again.
0.
1 drink.
Yeah.
And,
You're gonna do
and
it.
Have but
Plan.
won't again. No, plan is 3 drinks.
Plan is 3, and then
And
1
then
is have. But
Have but won't
And if
again.
you have no drinks,
I get it.
you were poorly prepared for this panel.
Yes, so we all have drinks. So Tim, do you want to start us
I
off?
will begin.
Yeah.
Nevermore, and I have to phrase it this way, nevermore shall I
Okay.
read through some ex-girlfriend's Lord of the Rings / fiction, looking for some thinly veiled reference to myself. Just the 1 drink, really never doing it again. Anybody? Just me? Just me?
Weirdly specific. Well, if you were going to get hits, this would have been the convention for
I
it.
know!
All right.
So, Jerry, I will arbitrarily make you next.
Oh, okay. Didn't
Nevermore shall I, and then say something.
something I have done but we'll never do it
Or
again.
if you would like to just say something awful and see if anyone else has done it.
All right. Shit. Well, see, now I'm on the...
Masturbated while on a panel.
I don't promise that. Not as long as we got these curtains. Oh, that's actually interesting. So, never mind. I'm not going to go into that. But now you have me on the track of ex-girlfriends. Nevermore.
I'll confess, when I thought of this game, I thought most of the topics would be lost technology.
About technology.
Yes, like people would be like, Nevermore, shall I rewind a tape with a pencil? Yes?
I've got one.
Yeah, sure, hold on. I got it. Nevermore will I break up with somebody specifically because they're terrible at the craft they are passionate about. Because I did. But I don't have to do that anymore.
This is the panel I want to see at 11 o'clock at night.
Oh, we got a Nevermore.
We do Nevermore from the audience.
Wait, what happened with the result of mine?
I drank.
Did you?
Oh.
Nice. Anybody else?
Not I.
Because I want to witness this. All right.
But yes.
All right.
Oh, just the Nevermore will I have sex in a phone booth. Because there's no phone booths.
Oh, that's sad. That's like, it's not that you don't want to, it's that it's been taken from you. Yeah,
That's
I'll
very
catch it.
Poe-like. Poe would be upset about not having sex in phone
loss.
booth.
yeah. Actually, in London,
You the West End.
Thank you.
It's true.
I was just there. They got booths. So, check it out.
TARDIS.
Jerry.
I guess I could take the next one since we're talking about sex already.
Go for it.
Yeah.
That's where I seem to. Nevermore will I ever have sexual relations with someone in a changing room in a store at the Mall of America.
First meeting?
Really?
Was it the first time you met? Like you went into the wrong changing room?
I was at Cinnabon that time.
Fair enough.
I have a question. On the last drink, does that include people dressed as a TARDIS? Because that might change some people's answers.
Yeah,
Well, I guess as long as you're inside them.
Yeah, I think we can.
That's why I asked.
I think we can allow it.
Yeah.
Okay, what if there's two people inside a person wearing a TARDIS?
Oh, it's getting to be complicated.
It's like episode 1 of Legopolis then. Yeah.
John, did you drink 3 times in the Mall of America Champion sex thing, or once?
Wait, what's...
So you plan to do it again?
Once, I do not plan to do that again. No,
So
I'm
that
sorry. Yes, I only drank once. Sorry.
This is not taking requests signed.
Who are we on?
Yes, please.
Was the 3 drinks, even if you've not done it,
Correct.
would like to do
That is true.
yeah,
If you
yeah.
plan on doing it, whether you've done it in the past or not.
Yes.
Yeah, keep drinking.
There you go.
Well done.
The more it's like to happen. Yeah.
What are we on, Melissa?
That's for everyone who's not drinking. That's like, God damn it, I will never have sex in a Mall of America changing room.
Oh.
That's why I asked if you drink once or 3 times.
No, I only drank the once. I don't intend to do that again. That was weird.
I see
I
you
have a
drinking.
question. Was it just a coincidence that the 2 of you drank together?
It was a coincidence.
It was a good
Sadly.
Yes, that was Rosedale. Doesn't matter.
What about Harmar? Getting real dirty.
Do you have one or
I
should
have one. Nevermore shall I drink an entire liter of red wine before getting on a transatlantic flight.
Oh, dear.
3 drinks for me.
Yep.
Wow. We'll stick with the 1, I think.
I'm going 3 with Timmy. We're going to do this together.
That's right.
We've had this trip planned for a while. We got Pat now?
Yeah, all right. So nevermore will I get really drunk, go into the bathroom, throw up, and come out and start drinking Mark Gutman's weird ouzo from Israel.
Juzo?
Yes.
Tim, you in? What about for 3?
Oh, you intend
No,
to do
I
it?
intend.
Oh my God.
I learned my lesson.
Yeah, that was like my lowest point on earth. No offense, Mark. That was a nice gift of yours, but that was.
Special stuff.
Okay,
I'll
guys.
give you guys one more. This is probably
But quick
more for
this
the
time. Quick.
fellas.
For time.
Right.
All right.
Nevermore will I throw up in a urinal.
I gotta actually think about this one.
I'd kinda like
Where
to do that
have
again.
I thrown?
3 drinks.
Yes.
I wouldn't discount it. Here's the thing. No. Here's the
I
thing.
was standing
So
here
okay.
throwing up outside.
I'm not somebody that's ever been embarrassed about like I had too much to drink. I'm gonna throw up because guess what? It makes you feel awesome. So
Totally the best.
I've also never missed, even when I'm like getting a car ride or whatever. I'm always like,
I'm sorry,
I
are
need
you
to-
talking about a urinal? Like you've been in a car peeing in a urinal?
No.
Accurately?
Did you pee into a urinal
I've
from a
never
car?
not
Yeah,
thrown up into a proper receptacle. And a urinal's not a bad receptacle. So I'm gonna go 3.
When you were in a car, what did you deem as an appropriate receptacle?
The highway. Not in the car. Cars you have to wash.
Okay, you guys.
Urinals clean themselves.
We're moving through our outline here.
All right, we're going forward.
We're going into You're on deck there, Jerry. You've got a song to sing, if I can
All right.
continue to use that. I know. I'm just going to use it until it really aggravates everyone. George Perec.
Better.
Hi.
Bonjour.
So
That photo on the back of the book is terrifying.
He's
just
wonderful.
wait. No,
He's-
don't give it away yet.
I'm setting
Okay.
up.
So there's this book called Avoid by Georges Perec, French guy.
Toast on
Perec,
Tombstone.
French guy. So this is an English translation, but he wrote this entire novel without using the letter E, which, similar to English, is a very common letter in the French language. Then, a brilliant individual, Gilbert Adair, translated this to English, also without the letter E, which is even more difficult because we use it even more often than the French. And there's actually many parts throughout the book where there are different poems, different stories and everything that come up in the plot and are rewritten only without the letter E. So first, before I get into the whole point of this, just so you can get an idea of what kind of person would write a story without the letter E, here's his picture. So he's pretty much batshit as far as I can tell.
It's like Yahoo fucking serious.
Now, one of the stories in here is Blackbird, which is basically Raven, completely rewritten without the letter E. So I'm just going to read a little snippet of it. Blackbird. 'Twas upon a midnight, tristful I sat poring, wan and wistful, through many a quaint and curious list full of my consorts slain. I sat nodding, almost napping, till I caught a sound of tapping, as of spirits softly rapping at my door in vain. 'Tis a visitor, I murmured, tapping at my door in vain, tapping soft as falling rain. Ah, I know, that this was on a holy night of Christmas, but that quaint and curious list was forming phantoms all in train. How I wished it was tomorrow, vainly had I sought to borrow from my books a stay of sorrow, sorrow for my union's chain, for the pictographic symbol missing from my union chain, and that would not join again. Rustling faintly through my drapings was a ghostly, ghastly scraping. Sound that was fantastic shapings filled my fulminating brain. Sorry, there's such clever use of apostrophes.
Yeah, because I was going to ask how murmured was spelled.
Murmured is M-U-R apostrophe D.
Oh, whatever.
And wish.
Murmured. Whatever. It's the English language. We cheat all the fucking time.
So is wish W-I-S-A-H apostrophe D?
Probably.
Should we drink for every
Okay, the
apostrophe?
point is, it's still it's pretty impressive.
It's still pretty brilliant, yeah.
I don't know. I kind of think anyone who could do that obviously doesn't get laid. But it was a picture, and I go, yeah.
Did the author spell his name G-I-L-B apostrophe R-T?
It's George, but...
Well, she's talking about the
Gilbert Adair. Yeah.
English translator, Gilbert. Gilbert. A terrible name. No, he didn't spell it that way, though.
CONvergence does not uphold
Jerry Belich, everyone.
discrimination against Gilbert.
What, Gilbert? I mean, it's a great name for jokes.
Pickle company.
There's got to
Pickle company?
Yeah.
Is there Gilbert Pickle?
I don't know.
Gilbert.
I think we're getting a
Gilbert
little...
Pickle. Yeah, he's a famous guy.
Yeah, dude.
All right, the point.
You guys, we're drifting a little far from...
We are, okay. But no, that is Blackbird, at least it's part of it. It's actually a very, very interesting book. It's very fun to read. And it kind of hurts your eyes after a while when you're trying to find the letter E and it's not there anywhere. Pat?
Guide us.
Closing in the home stretch, guys. A note in the diary of J.P. Kennedy from October 10th, 1849. On Tuesday last, Edgar A. Poe died in town here at the hospital from the effects of a debauch. He fell in with some companion here who seduced him to the bottle, which it was said he had renounced some time ago. The consequence was fever, delirium, and madness, and in a few days, a termination of his sad career in the hospital. Poor Poe, a bright but unsteady light has been awfully quenched. So was alcohol related to his death? Most people sort of think so. He seems to have been discovered in a Baltimore tavern or immediately outside of it on the street on October 3rd of 1849 in some sort of semi-conscious state. The Dr. Snodgrass, who treated him in his final days...
I'm sorry.
Dr. Snodgrass. Melinda Snodgrass, the guest of honor at this year's
I know, but
CONvergence.
does anyone ever take that seriously?
Well, you could ask her opinion about Poe and...
No. I'm more concerned about her opinion.
About Melissa Snodgrass or about Dr. Snodgrass? Dr. Snodgrass.
Degree in science.
Well, Dr. S., who treated him in his final days, believed that alcohol was specifically the cause of his death, but the doctor was an ardent temperance advocate, and he may have been incorrect, exaggerating, or lying.
He's bullshit.
Is full of bullshit. So a whole lot of different diseases have been suggested for what had killed Poe. Tuberculosis, syphilis, meningitis, epilepsy, diabetes. In the 1970s, a theory became popular that it was rabies. I have found no supporting evidence for that. Jerry disagrees. You think it's rabies. You think rabies killed him.
I think it's a possibility. I think it's a good possibility because it takes a while for that to come up and everything else matches the delirium, getting all out of it, and then once he was pulled in, he didn't know what was going on, and then he kind of recovered, but then he's gone.
I think it's
rabies.
Well, in the John Cusack movie, he had a pet raccoon.
Bit him. Dirty raccoons. Have you ever met a nice raccoon?
No, I haven't.
Pocahontas.
See?
We'll throw in...
Pocahontas is not a raccoon.
Did she have raccoon?
The cartoon was a raccoon.
Who?
Fence.
In what?
It's a good raccoon.
An offensive raccoon? Exactly, that's my point.
There's Rocket Raccoon, who's going to be in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Rocket Raccoon.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
That guy kicks ass. He wouldn't kill Poe. Jesus, Tim.
Unless he had a time machine.
So there's also a possibility that if Poe was hypoglycemic, he may have died of critically low blood sugar.
He could have died of cake.
Probably brought on by excessive drinking.
Lack of cake.
Lack of cake. It's an important lesson to us all about cake.
And the weird thing about his death is that his money was gone, if he had any, and he was seen wearing these old, worn-out clothes that were different from the ones that he had been last seen in. So it's possible that he was mugged, robbed, and or drugged. And one interesting theory, which I didn't know until I started to research this, but a lot of biographers seem to agree with this, is that he may have been abducted by what were called Coopers, who were gangs of political thugs who on election day would go around and kidnap innocent people off the street, keep them in a room or a coop, get them drunk, probably beat them up, and force them to go from poll to poll voting for the candidate of their choice. And sometimes they would shave them or dress them in different clothes so that they could go back to the same poll and vote over and over again.
Glue a beard to them.
Yeah, it was election day in Baltimore on that day, and Poe's weak heart may not have withstood all of this, particularly if he had stopped drinking, or they force-fed him alcohol and beat him up and stuff. So this may have been actually what killed him. It's just a theory, but...
What's interesting about that, like, what would make somebody a target for that? Was it, like,
literally, they would take
arbitrary?
them off the street.
No, I understand that,
Yeah.
but, like, is it kind of like today where it's like you find a homeless person, give them $5 to do something for you, or is it...
Like we
I don't know how often you do that, but
Or, because, I mean, presumably, was he normally dressed
it would have
very
been
poorly?
normal, but walking alone in the streets of Baltimore. I assume the alone part is probably what
And he
attracts them.
probably looked a little crazy since he was kind of genius.
But I mean, it's not like
Coopers love to build barrels.
Yeah, the point being that it's not his fucking fault, right? It's like these fucking thugs go and they kidnap men off the street, because it's men, of course, and then they fucking beat you up and they get you drunk and they dump you who knows where and they kidnap you for a couple days to do it.
Because if I had to say, like, I don't think alcohol was behind the death. I don't know if it was rabies, another disease, or something like that. But I don't think it, like, personally, from all my reading, everything, I don't think it was alcohol.
It seems like that's too easy an answer.
Right.
He had just joined the Temperance Society. You never know with these things. But the Cooper thing, you think it was SIDS?
Yes.
You think he actually, his whole adult life was like a fever dream or something?
Yes.
Okay. All right, guys. So we're closing in on the end of the panel, but we have a few things that we're still going to do. Don, you want to talk about the Poe toaster?
Yeah. Has anyone ever heard of the Poe toaster?
Free if you open an account today.
Toaster.
Yeah.
Poe toaster.
Toaster, yeah.
Poe toaster.
So is it one of those appliances that you put the bread in and it puts a silhouette of Edgar Allan Poe on your toaster?
I love it.
I wish.
I know.
I would buy that.
I
No,
would.
that's actually nothing.
The famous author's toaster. We should make that.
And Hello Kitty.
Oh, could have different inserts for different authors.
Yes.
Oh my God!
Invention.
That's our company.
Kickstart it.
Let's go.
Done.
You heard it here first, folks.
The Poe toaster, I thought this was absolutely fascinating, and I'm kind of in love with the idea. It's the unofficial nickname given to a mysterious person, or probably two persons in succession. They're thinking it's a father and son, who for 7 decades paid an annual tribute to the gravesite of Edgar Allan Poe. They would go on the early hours of January 19th, that's Poe's birthday, and people would report that a shadowy figure that was dressed in black with a wide-brimmed hat and a white scarf. And one person who was an eyewitness actually said they spotted a well-dressed figure carrying a cane, face obscured by a dirty hat and a white scarf. What they would do is this person would go to the grave of Poe, pour himself a glass of cognac, raise a toast to Poe's memory, take a drink, and then vanish into the night. And what's kind of interesting about it, because they say it goes for 7 decades, is that he would leave, the Poe toaster would leave the rest of the bottle at the grave, and supposedly the grave caretaker would go, just pick up the bottle and finish it off on his own.
To be fair,
I know, not
free
bad,
booze.
right?
I totally would, yeah.
Yeah, so do we have cognac? We do.
So my question about that is, did they ever figure out who it was?
Well, there's a lot of rumors about who it was. Go ahead.
Because here's what I don't get. We know what day he's going to show up.
Yes.
Most people have surveillance equipment or smartphones.
Is this a cocktail or straight? Okay.
Can't we figure this out by now?
Well, I think this is kind of one of those Muppet things. Even though there's a hand inside Kermit, you really don't want to know.
Yeah, why would you look too closely, right? You don't want to scare the guy off.
I want to see the seams.
Did it stop a couple years ago?
It did.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
It's probably my fault now.
Yeah, way to go, asshole. So part of it is that lots of people tried to find out who the Poe toaster was, and they would set up cameras and just Jerry, big asshole, was piling on. But then other people were there too to deflect all of this to make sure that the Poe toaster was never actually discovered.
Poe toasters.
Poe toasters.
From the Golden Dawn Society.
Dong.
Golden Dong, apparently.
And so
To my eternal
lots of
shame.
onlookers gathered annually to try to catch this Poe toaster, who never tried to seek publicity, and he was also rarely photographed. Now, the cool part is the significance of the cognac is uncertain, because it does not feature in Poe's works, as would like Amontillado and all that good stuff. But a note left in 2004, the Visitation suggested that the cognac may represent a tradition of the Toasters family rather than Poe. And several bottles of the cognac are left in Edgar Allan Poe's house and museum in Baltimore, if you ever go there.
And specifically Martell cognac, too.
Yes, it is very specifically Martell cognac.
House
Now,
Martell cognac.
Yeah.
The super sad thing is, like it's been pointed out, that even though the Visitation started sometimes in the 1930s, although nothing was in print until 1950, until the death, and like they believe the first Poe toaster died in 1998, and then the son took it over, and then supposedly their sons took it over, but unfortunately it stopped. And in 2010 there was no visit, and since then there still hasn't been any visits, which is one of the reasons why we have a glass of cognac today.
Yes, and we've made a particular cognac cocktail using Jerry's homemade bitters. So do you want to explain the recipe, Jerry?
I'm not done.
I'm sorry, Don. Let's just get Jerry's thing in here.
When you're done, then I'll go.
All right, I'll be quick, Don. I'm sorry.
No worries.
No, it's essentially more or less a Sazerac using cognac, and the bitters is homemade bitters. It's cherry hazelnut bitters. Yes, right. Super good. Turns out bitters is really fun to make. So there you go.
Don.
To those brave little Poe toasters.
Sorry to interrupt.
Another part of the tradition is that the Poe toaster would always leave 3 red roses on his grave. So we have 3 red roses here that we're also going to leave for Poe because we think he's awesome. And so we'll leave these here, and we'll raise a toast to Edgar. We haven't forgotten you.
EAP.
Cheers. It was there's a dude who I actually have his name somewhere in here, but he was one of the first people to start spying on the Poe toaster, and he was hiding in the local church where the grave was, and he had published, "Hey, Mr. Poe toaster dude," something along the lines of, "I know who you are, kind of, but if you will leave me certain specific messages." And supposedly the Poe toaster then was leaving him these messages. Now, the guy who was the eyewitness is still alive today, but he has said that he won't reveal what he knows until maybe on his deathbed. But that's how we sort of know it went from father to son. And then to the other sons who dicked it up. Really horribly.
Oh, bastards.
I know.
Or maybe they all died in the fire at the same time.
Hopefully they died of shame.
The sons.
Or rabies. Or rabies.
This could be
From
a
that
tragedy,
raccoon.
You know, they were all in a horrible highway accident, and it's not really their fault.
No, the
Or a
sons were like
Zeppelin.
doing really stupid things, like leaving notes about like the Super Bowl and crap like that. I'm like, well, okay, so anyways.
So then,
So we got one.
Hopefully they died.
Yes.
Death to assholes.
We all hope they died. We have one final thing for you guys. One final thing. We got a request for this actually, but it was on our outline anyway. So we've had a bunch to drink. So we're all going to gather around and read Edgar Allan Poe's poem "The Bells" to you. You got to get over here, guys. Cluster, please.
all right. Are we each taking a verse?
No, we're going to read it out together as
good
fast
God, I can't
as
see that
possible.
far.
As fast as possible.
Well, here, can everyone see more or less?
Sort of, yeah.
Okay, loud and fast.
As fast as we can.
That's worse.
I'll start you off.
Hear the sledge of the bells.
Silver bells, silver bells! All the heavens start to like the crystal like light, keeping time. Musically wells from the bells. Bells. Hear the bell away.
turtle dove that
Get me
listens
watching the turtles and dubbing the listens and the
Oh, it's
ghosts
terrible,
and the
terrible, terrible, terrible. Hear the loud alarm bells. Raisin bells. All right, thank you, good night. Yes. Oh, it didn't work out.